Welcome to Coin Retrospectives, short histories of old coins. And here we have the 1923 Monroe Doctrine Centennial half dollar. Now you might be thinking, a coin to celebrate 100 years since the signing of a foreign policy, that's sort of boring, isn't it? Not quite. The coin was minted for and sold at an event that was designed to erase bad publicity in Hollywood due to multiple scandals involving deaths and explicit content. Not only that, the coin's design itself was likely plagiarized. Let's dive into the fascinating story of the Monroe Doctrine Centennial half dollar. First, a short history on the Monroe Doctrine itself. In the early 1820s, the United States felt there were two threats towards its zone of influence in the Americas. First, Russia was claiming territorial and trading rights along the Oregon coast. And second, possible European threats against the newly independent Latin American nations. John Quincy Adams, then the Secretary of State, penned in 1823, "The occasion has been judged proper for asserting as a principle in which the rights and interests of the United States are involved, that the American continents, by the free and independent condition which they have assumed and maintain, are henceforth not to be considered as subjects for future colonization by any European powers." Forthwith, the Monroe administration released what would become known as the Monroe Doctrine during the State of the Union address in 1823. This would fuel United States foreign policy well into the 20th century. Nearly one centennial later, in 1922, the Hollywood film industry was in shambles. Multiple deaths, including those of actress Virginia Rappe, actor Wallace Reed, and director William Desmond Taylor, and the shady testimony regarding his death by actress Mabel Normand, along with many instances of sexual explicitness in movies, had led many people to call for a boycott on Hollywood films. To combat this, film moguls were in total damage control mode. They began to plan an exposition and fair to show that the city of Los Angeles had come of age, much like Chicago's Columbian Exposition of 1893 and San Francisco's Panama Pacific event of 1915, both of which spawned coins that commemorated these events. We'll get to those in later videos. Wanting a coin of their own to mint and sell, but fearing that Congress would not accept a coin celebrating the film industry, the organizers set upon finding an historical event that would help them get their coin. At first, they wanted to use the Boston Tea Party of 1773, but according to numismatists Anthony Svatek and Walter Breen, the episode, quote, could not be tortured into even the vaguest relevance to California, let alone to Los Angeles, close quote. In 1922, California Congressman Walter Lineberger introduced a bill to strike half dollar in commemoration of the Monroe Doctrine, claiming that it had kept California, then owned by Mexico, out of the hands of European powers. Despite some objections, the bill passed and minting began in 1923. The obverse of the coin features James Monroe, the 5th United States President, and John Quincy Adams, who penned the doctrine. On the reverse, we see the two continents of North and South America, overlaid by allegorical figures carrying a laurel of peace and a horn of plenty. The lines on the coin represent ocean currents, thought by Svatek and Breen to symbolize trade routes between the continents. The designer of the coin, Chester Beach, put his monogram at the lower right of the coin. I say designer because it's very likely he plagiarized his design from an earlier work of art by Raphael Beck for the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo in 1901. Looks pretty similar, wouldn't you say? As for the actual exposition itself, it was a flop. Expected to garner 1 million visitors, it only accrued 30% of that total, many of which were teenagers given free admission at the end of the exposition. 300,000 Monroe Doctrine Centennial half dollars were minted, but only about 27,000 were sold at the price of $1 each, with the rest being dumped into circulation and spent during the Great Depression, which would follow a few short years later. And that wraps it up here for the Monroe Doctrine Centennial half dollar. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, and as always, leave your 2 cents in the comments, and have a great day.